The Divine Sedition by Martin Lundqvist. Prologue. This chapter summarizes the events in the last chapter of the Divine Dissimulation. If you have already read the Divine Dissimulation, you can proceed to chapter 1. Prologue. The young and beautiful 22-year-old Kayla Eisenstein, a prominent leader of the Martian Humanist Alliance, a Martian rebel movement, is on the run following an utter defeat against the Terran Council on the asteroid Sylvia. She is pursued by her nemesis, Rear Admiral Bjorn Muller of the Terran Council, who has a much bigger and better armed spaceship than she does. The situation looks dire when Kayla suddenly has a vision of her dead mother, Susanna, urging her to take her ship to the terraformed asteroid world by the name of Eden, and free the Edenites from the tyranny of Abraham Goldstein, the egomaniacal tyrant god king. Kayla's right-hand man, Sven, is skeptical of going, but he agrees to drop her off on Eden while trying to shake off the Terran Council pursuers. Kayla reaches Eden, and she uses one of the emergency pods on her spaceship to take her down to the surface. As Kayla is descending, she watches in horror how her ship and its crew is obliterated by the powerful weapons on Bjorn's ship. Panicking, Kayla releases the safety switch on her emergency pod, causing her to crash down on the Edenite surface, knocking her unconscious on impact. Bjorn Muller wants to send his men to the surface of Eden to apprehend Kayla, as she is a highly sought-after escapee. However, he is refused to land on Eden by Abraham Goldstein. The reason for Abraham's refusal is that Eden is used for his secret megalomaniacal purpose, which is erasing the memory of Martian captives to make them believe that Earth was destroyed and that he is the god of Eden, a Bronze Age futuristic world using mind control technology. In Abraham's religious scripture, the Abrahamion, it's stated that the Edenites is all that remain of mankind, and Abraham feared letting the Edenites find out the truth, that Earth still existed. After an armed standoff, Bjorn withdraws but gives the ultimatum that he will be back if Abraham hasn't delivered Kayla to him in 3 days. Meanwhile, a stranger called Joshua finds the unconscious Kayla on Eden and brings her to the tunnels below the surface, where they are safe from Abraham's mechanical spies and orbital laser cannons. Eventually, Kayla wakes up, and following her dreams, she seduces Joshua and had intercourse with him, making him an ally. She then falls asleep as she is still dazed from the crash. Joshua is careless and falls asleep next to her, believing that she is an angel sent from the heavens to bring him joy. A bit later, Nuriel and Gabriel, two genetically engineered super soldiers who are aiding Abraham's tyranny, comes across the sleeping Kayla and Joshua. Fortunately, Joshua's twin sister Adina, who was infiltrated with mind control technology at birth, hides Joshua and Kayla from the pursuers' visions, and they manage to escape discreetly. Abraham is furious with Nuriel and Gabriel upon knowing that Kayla escapes and sends them back to the tunnels underground of Eden to finish the job. Meanwhile, under Adina's leadership, the Edenites rebels against Abraham's rule as Adina manipulates them to rise against their evil divine master. In the midst of confusion, Kayla and Joshua manages to kill Nuriel and Gabriel without Abraham noticing. The rest of his accomplices, or angels, are repressing the Edenites' uprising. Suddenly, Adina then exposes herself as the one orchestrating the uprising against Abraham, to distract him from chasing Kayla and Joshua, and in his anger against Adina, he programs his orbital lasers to fire at her when they were in range. In the midst of a heated telepathic battle of mind control between Adina and Abraham, Kayla and Joshua uses the dead super soldier's angel armors, secretly flies up to the Divine Control Center, Abraham's headquarters orbiting just above Eden, and enter the complex silently and stealthily. Once Kayla and Joshua enter the Divine Control Center, Abraham realizes that Adina has manipulated him and he now senses their presence. So he sends his personal bodyguard, Abaddon, an angel super soldier, to eliminate Kayla and Joshua. Abaddon found them alive and manages to attack them both, and he's just about to kill them when Adina suddenly intervenes. Using her mind control technology, she tries to take control over Abaddon's body and cause him to kill himself instead. Abraham notices what Adina is trying to do, and they wrestle mentally for control over Abaddon's body. This releases a psionic blast that kills Abaddon and knocks both Adina and Abraham unconscious, flying miles away due to the effects of the psionic blast. Unbeknownst to Adina, this is actually an advantage, as the psionic blast knocks her out of harm's way, just avoiding the orbital lasers firing at her. She is now trapped inside the dark, empty tunnel underground, where she then hides and rests while she recovers from her injury. Wounded, Kayla and Joshua manages to drag themselves to the center of the Divine Control Center complex, where they find Abraham's unconscious body. Joshua wants to kill Abraham right there and then, his evil grandfather. But Kayla convinces him that he needs to be alive and then transport both their minds to the divine dimension using Abraham's divine detector machine in the control center. Once Joshua warps to the divine dimension, Abraham is there and tells him that he shouldn't have come and that Kayla had deceived him. Joshua is confused with who to trust, but decided on killing Abraham. As he attacks Abraham and they fight mentally, this does not, however, harm their real physical bodies, as their bodies are not in the divine dimension. Suddenly, free falling from the top of the golden lotus flower in the divine dimension, they both instantly drop to the ground, bleeding from bullet wounds